Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candid Meena every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. And thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share with friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today, let me just add all the guests who've joined us. We are joined by Kieran Narayan, an eminent
Hello,
lawyer
Minaji.
based in Karnataka. Welcome, Kiran.
Thank you, Minaji. Thanks for
Yeah,
having
and
me.
we're joined by Nidhi Kukreja. Welcome, Nidhi. Nidhi, can you hear me? And we're also joined by Rabya ji.
Hi everyone.
Yeah. And Nidhi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible now.
Meena,
Yeah, okay.
Meenaji, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Okay,
can hear
good.
you, Rabia ji and Nidhi ji. So today we have Rabia Khan, mother of the late Bollywood young actress Jia Khan, Nidhi Kukreja, the mother of the young teenager Janvi Kukreja, and Kiran Narayan, who is an eminent lawyer practicing in Karnataka, covering civil and criminal litigation and advisory. Welcome to all of you on Candid Meena.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
So, friends, both the cases that we have covered extensively in our sessions with the victims' mothers and other guests. For Rabia Khan, it has been over 9 years, and despite the CBI reopening the case, nothing has moved henceforth. Similarly, in Janvi Kukreja's case, Sri Jogdankar, one of the accused, continues to be in jail, while the other accused, who was Janvi's best friend, is out on bail. But till now, the courts have delayed the hearing. Before we start the discussion, I would like to read out an open letter that Rabia Khan has written to the Prime Minister. Rabia ji, would you like to read it or would you like me to read it for you?
Meenaji, you go ahead because it's
Okay,
on public domain anyway.
okay, fine. So her letter goes as per this. Dear Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, many a times I've tried reaching to you through my open letters, pleading you to hear my grievances regarding my daughter Jia Khan, whose life was taken away. The suspect and the accused is her boyfriend, an actor in Bollywood. The accused's family are famous for their criminal and notorious behavior, but the Maharashtra police are okay with it because they are under the influencing power of high rank officers, politicians, and Bollywood icons who use their position, status, and influence on officers to stop investigating the case. We are here to raise our voice against injustice being done by delaying tactics of Mumbai courts to deny justice to those victims and their families who are fighting and want disclosure to the untimely death of Jia Khan, Sushant Singh, and Disha Salian, who were killed in Bollywood. There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. Bollywood mafia is contaminating the industry with drugs and killing innocents, and the police is incapable of taking action against them because of underworld pressure to protect and harbor the criminals involved in these killings. As a mother of Jia Khan, my path to restoration is paved by bringing justice to her and to give peace to her soul. All her friends and fans are standing in solidarity to fight for these innocent souls who have had yet so much to offer to the world. They had bright future plans and a desire to live. Fighting for justice is the only healing power of our grief. Imagine what we victim families have to go through each day trying to keep calm and run our day to day life with heaviness on our hearts. And on the other side, persistently keeping on fighting for justice, which is not monetarily cheap. We feel cheated by the police and investigating agencies who are not doing their duty. Such injustice, in fact, there is injustice everywhere. This must stop. Criminals should not be glorified and given such protection. What's happening currently in India is observed by the world. Today, the entire nation is roaring for justice for other innocents killed in Bollywood by those protected by power of underworld. We fear for our children traveling to India. What if this happens to those very officers' children who are today harboring the criminals? To grant justice to these souls is your call. It is a heartbreaking task to see how corruption is encouraged in denying and delaying justice by not producing evidences in the court. and deliberately not collecting all evidences for truth to surface. In Jia Khan's case, the forensic experts' reports claimed it is a staged homicide. CBI in Mumbai has deliberately not collected evidence and tried hard to cover the truth under Maharashtra political powers of the government. This is treated similarly how they treated Sushant Singh and other Bollywood victims' cases. It's painful to see such injustice done by CBI, who's refusing to fully investigate, interrogate, and arrest the suspects for reasons they know better. CBI is competent like FBI or Scotland Yard. They have every skill and experience and an investigative mind in criminology to dig the facts out and reveal the truth. They're failing to do so. Their duty speaks about their reluctance of not doing their job with an excuse of lacking funds from central government. I pray to you to hear my cry and with firmness instruct the CBI agency to approach higher courts to gather evidence from Maharashtra police and stop protecting the criminals who ruthlessly killed our innocent child. Besides you, there is no one on earth who we can cry to. You are the ruler, the leader of the nation, India, and you have the ultimate say. It's your words that matter. Warm regards, Rabia, mother of Jia Khan. Now,
Yes.
viewers, Rabia Khan has been waiting for over 9 years, whereas Nidhi's is more fresh. It's only a year old. But the case is the same, Kiran. The delay is terrible. I mean, this is something that they cannot bear. And a lot of the public have joined hands with both Rabia ji and Nidhi ji to, help, support, and fight, for justice. So, Rabia ji and Nidhi, you're welcome to ask questions to Kiran, and Kiran will, in his capacity, answer you. So, shall we start with Rabia ji?
Yeah. Well, Kiran, hi, and
Hi, ma'am.
you have heard my letter,
I
and
have.
there is not anything that has not come from my heart and my experience. Fighting for justice is not an easy game, and it is very, very expensive. And judiciary, the entire system is very expensive. I don't know how people get away, but because these are homicidal cases, obviously, as per the law says an eye for an eye. If, in India, there is a death sentence if you are found guilty, and life imprisonment only if the president can excuse you with death sentence. But in other nations, in other countries, there is life imprisonment, but not death sentence. And I am also not for death sentence. Let me tell you very frankly, I am not here for revenge. And I was never there for revenge. My thing was they scandalized my daughter's death and they put a blame on her because they think the dead will not speak. So put all the blame on the dead. And the victims are already so crippled, so helpless, so emotional, so much in love with their lost ones, right? That put the rest of the garbage, rest of the blame on the victims. They will be, because they love the child, they will spend the money. Because they love the child, they will go and fight. And especially in Jia's case, I am in London. Where will she come? She does not have the capacity. Let me tell you, Kiran, the first thing the investigating officers find out how rich you are, what assets you have, even the lawyers. I am very sorry. My experience with lawyers have been like a roller coaster. I can write books and books on them. Now that is the experience I have collected. Don't mind my saying this. I am not saying all fingers are same, but to my experience, I had a very bitter experiences. So every step that I walk, it's a very heavy step. I have to carry a sack of money on my back and a heavy feet and an emotional heart. So they take advantage of all that. I never anticipated that I will continuously come to India from London, whether it is twice a month, whether it is thrice a month. For 8 years, I was doing it when COVID hit, and for last 2 years, because of COVID and restrictions, the courts are also delaying the trial. It's date after date, date after date. Not a single relevant questions have been asked. If ever any lawyer or advocate spoke a relevant question, raised a relevant question, and a judge questioned the relevant questions, they were either changed or they were thrown out. This is my experience. Now, why is this happening? To my common man, common language, and common sense, that tells me it's because they want to protect. It's because they have signed a government impunity, that they know the truth and they will not punish the criminal. Why? Because the criminal is influential. Influential to whom? He's not president's son, right? Influential to those probably family doing favors to the government or politicians or officers. Now, what favors they can do? Whatever, either the promotion or status or monetary or using some underworld threat. Because initially, even my lawyer was given a lot of threats. And then I see how things were going. So you see, they use every power, everything that they can just to suppress our voice and to cover the truth. So you tell me that judiciary is your system without. I remember some of my lawyers used to say the system is so bad. The system is so bad. I said, wait a minute. You say the school is bad. Who makes the school? The faculty, the teachers, the students, the pupil. Who makes the judiciary system? It's not the masses, it is the lawyers, the solicitors, the people, the judiciary, the judges, the police, the law enforcement. They are the faculties of the judiciary system. They make, so the corruption is within the system. So they are bigger criminals than the criminal himself. So they look at that criminal, are bechara, because they see higher level of criminalities within the system. This is my knowledge and my experience of 8 years. And I am running now into the 9th year. You tell me now, where am I wrong?
Ma'am, at the outset, let me just say this. I think you've heard this from many, many people, and I'll be one amongst many. Firstly, my commiserations at what's happened to you. I think none of us can pretend to understand what you're going through. None of us can pretend to empathize with you. None of us can continue to give you lip service because you've experienced what you've just said. You've also articulated that in your letter, and obviously this being a pretty famous case, it has been splashed all over the newspapers. So I'm not about to repeat any of that as much as possible, because I think over 9 years you would have heard a lot of people give you a lot of suggestions, a lot of comments, a lot of lip service, as I said before. And I'm not going to dispute any of your experiences either, because they are real and you've seen them, you've actually endured them, and you continue to endure them. So I'm not going to make excuses for the judiciary, nor am I going to make any excuses for the police, or for that matter, the people that you talked about, the influential ones who've gotten away scot-free, perhaps. Having said all of that, there are a few observations. I mean, I've actually, been following this case in somewhat of a passive manner. But more importantly, when Meenaji kind of said that we were going to get together and have a discussion around it, so as to refresh myself on what actually happened insofar as the timelines are concerned. And I'll try and ensure that we don't do the lawyer talk here by giving you technical information. I think that's not very important. But I'll try and see if I can, some of the troubling aspects of Jiah's sad passing away. I was reading through some of the research that's available, and I think the missing gaps for you as a parent, as a mother, and also her siblings, was that here was a girl who was, obviously doing very well for herself. She had, she had made a name for herself in a fairly short period of time in India. She'd obviously moved into India with aspirations, and on that given day, at least from a legal perspective, as I could see it, I did see that she had a conversation with you at about 9:30 in the evening. She had a
Yeah,
conversation with her sister, who was on a flight arriving into
Yeah.
India later that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the tone and tenor of all of those conversations was that of a girl who was happy, who was positive, who was looking
Yeah.
forward to things. And moving on, I also happened to read something about uh, Jiah's sister Kavita, if I'm not mistaken, finding a letter about a week later, which
No, not
has
week. Yeah, not week, but few days.
a few days later, a
Yeah.
few days later.
Yeah.
Um, and purely from a legal perspective, ma'am, as to where things may have actually started to go wrong, at least not so much from an outcome perspective, because we still don't know what that outcome is. But I understand the gaps in your head. How did a happy girl possibly go and take an extreme step of suicide? And it doesn't add up in your head. It doesn't add up in anyone's head, right? And which is where, if you look at uh, just the investigation process, and a lot of criminal proceedings go wrong there. If we don't have the right kind of investigating officer who is committed to a case, uh, you know, things can actually start cascading from that point on.
What do you
And
mean?
if
Sorry, sir. What do you mean? Right kind of? All the officers, they are well trained. They don't get a position until unless they are not trained. So where does a right kind and a wrong kind come?
I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I
Yeah.
mean, what I'm
Yeah.
also talking about is when you start an investigation, one of the first things that it tells you is to sanitize the place and to ensure that there is no, the crime scene is not trampled upon. I did
Yeah.
see some of the evidence. I did see that you had made an application not so long ago
Yeah.
before the CBI court to have certain seizures to be examined by forensic
Yes.
experts. I
Yes.
also am privy to the fact that you had actually three independent investigators look at this whole crime scene and the material that was presented before the courts to to conclude, or at least to evaluate and find out whether this was indeed a suicide or otherwise,
Or a
and
homicide. Yeah.
or a homicide.
Yeah.
And in all instances, I believe you've concluded with their advice and their findings that this was not really a suicide, but something beyond that. Now, what I wish to also add to that, Mrs. Khan, is the lead up to this incident. So obviously, everything that you've just said gets to a point where this is not a normal death. This doesn't appear to be a normal death. And
Yeah, for the fact that the High Court had given the case to CBI, I remember when the case reopened, and the judge asked the police that how did you find her? They said we found her hanging through a rope. Now, the audacity they had to lie in the court. And then my
sorry,
counselor said, no, it was a malmal dupatta. They have the photographs, but they're lying in the court. So when the judge heard that it was a malmal dupatta and the injuries that are on the photographs, do you understand? He immediately told the police to reinvestigate, but they
yeah,
don't. They have no respect for High Court. They never reinvestigated. We again went to High Court, and after that, the the police commissioner said, please tell Rabia to come to me and I will do with all her grievances, with a list of her grievances, and I will do the needful. I will form an SIT. Then they were making an SIT. Rakesh Maria was the SCP that time, with the same officers. How can those same very officers who told lies are going to tell the truth now? I went again to High Court, and that is when the matter went to CBI. Now, for the court to order CBI to investigate, definitely the court has seen, the judges have seen that there is something not normal, as they are trying to say that it is a case of suicide. Obviously, that was the reason. And High Court instructed CBI to find out whether it is a homicide or suicide. And if it is a homicide, then get the hold of the perpetrator. What did CBI do? CBI, under the pressure of the present government, did not investigate. And now they are asking, today, my case is hanging on CBI asking for evidences, the crucial evidences to be analyzed, and their application has been rejected. The CBI court has rejected the CBI's application. And now it's date after date, date after date. What is going on? What is going on?
What?
This is
Yeah.
the
Look,
serious matter.
I agree. I mean, look, I think, like I started off by saying to you, Mrs. Khan, I am not here to uh, tell you that things go well. I'm not here to tell you. In fact, I will actually concede that things don't go well. And in a criminal investigation of this kind, a lot of evidence is very, very crucial in the early stages of the commission of an offense. And like you were rightly pointing out, either if it was a dupatta, if it was, other evidences that were
Yeah,
available,
whatever. Yeah.
they should have been aggregated in a very disciplined manner. It doesn't take a trained policeman to figure out, especially the BlackBerry. I also read about the BlackBerry.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
crucial piece of evidence.
Yeah.
And I know that you petitioned the CBI court to have an expert body made by the Ministry of Home Affairs have a look at this.
Yes.
Some connection, some
Yeah.
problem in connection. Minaji, there's problem in
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm just waiting, Rabya.
Um, the
Yeah.
media showed complete frenzy in wanting to cover this case. I think that naturally, and it should, puts a lot of pressure on the police department. They would want the noise to subside, and so that explains all of the outreach towards you, the empathy towards you, so that momentarily, the noise that's being created in the system, because law and order is a state subject, right? I appreciate the fact that you've reached out to the Prime Minister. The Ministry of Home Affairs has an oversight on what the states are doing insofar as law and order is concerned. And I understand that you're doing that as a concerned mother. And so you should,
Yeah. It's my duty.
right? It is
It's
your
my
duty.
duty.
And I,
Yeah.
and I think if I was you, I would do exactly the same thing. And
Yeah.
so, uh, but it was essentially the state government under whom the police function who should have actually done a damn good investigation in the first 3 to 4 days. And more importantly, to give the accused about 7 full days before he was picked up and arrested would have given him adequate time to prepare a defense.
Of course. They didn't
And
even
and
collect
all,
his mobile phone.
and all of this is stating the obvious insofar as you are concerned, Mrs. Khan. And I fully understand if anger and frustration and disappointment, all of that sets in as we talk about these things. And like I said before, I may not have any credible answers for you, but having said that, this particular case has, as opposed to many others that don't get the kind of I would say attention. There are many murders, and I'm not suggesting that if we could, every single case should be investigated the way it should be. That has not happened, and I know of cases where 2 or 3 days after the commission of an offense, a lot of evidence goes missing, and common people who are not privy to law don't appreciate what is about to happen when the actual trial commences. you know in insofar as Jia Khan's case is concerned, there's a bunch of evidence that has been put together, and there's others that have been ignored from what you have said, the latest petition being a case in point.
Yes. How can you
But
how can you pursue with a trial without evidence?
I
And
agree
what
with you.
justice can we expect when judge will not see the evidence?
Look, and
So you
I
see, we
think
are not foolish. We are not foolish. I may
I
have
agree.
not studied law, but that doesn't make me a fool.
In fact, ma'am, I think your experiences would have trained you adequately as opposed to many lawyers that exist in the system, and I'm ashamed to say that, but it's true,
Can I just
right?
interrupt?
I'm
Can
like I
I just
said,
interrupt?
you would have
Yeah, yeah,
seen what happened and what didn't happen.
It's the instinct of a mother, Rabia ji.
yeah.
Training, no
And
training, experience. It's an instinct of a mother. She can make out what has happened to the child. Whatever the witness, I'm sorry to interrupt in this context, but it's an
No,
instinct
no,
of
no.
a
You're
mother.
welcome to speak.
Yeah.
It's an instinct of a mother, sir. And
yeah,
we know
Absolutely.
that we know our child very well. We know
yeah,
the other witnesses also, So when there are absolute white lies in front of us, a mother can see more than the other people over there. It's an absolute instinct of a mother. You cannot fool a mother. Even a child, when he does any mistake or anything, he says, Mama, I've done this, but a mother knows what the child has done. You cannot
You know,
fool a mother.
you
The
know,
system has to understand that.
unfortunately, our children were dealing with rude boys. So there's a saying, rude boys, because we raised our children with, especially, I can speak for Gia. She was a very soft person. You can see her personality even on the screen. She's a soft spoken and soft person. She couldn't handle the rudeness, such rudeness, to that audacity of hitting her, beating her, torturing her, that she was,
Because
I remember when she came in February at the same year, I could see, tears in her eyes like clouds. I was having a meal and I said, uh, it's a Valentine's Day, and you claim that you're in love with a guy, and you have flown here on a Valentine's Day. Something is wrong. And even on your face, Bebo, so you don't seem to be happy. I had to, because she's talking about the instincts. I had those instincts. I could see in my daughter's eyes. I did not
exactly what
ignore
I'm
that.
saying.
And I said, immediately, I was having a meal that time. Immediately, she broke down into tears. Minaji, I left my meal, I hugged her, took her in my arms, sat with her, let her cry first, and then asked her who it is. First, I thought maybe it is work. She said, no, no, work is going very well. Then I said, who it is? Is it your ex boyfriend or something? No. I said, last when I said, is it Suraj? So she said, yes. And then I said, What happened? So when she told me about his beating and cheating and, being rude and all this gali, I said, Oh my God. I said, You're not going back to India and forget. And then I explained her, 10 days she was with me. She was absolutely back to normal. She came back into that power. This guy had taken her confidence away. Because if somebody who has not taken beating or something like that, and if they get, how humiliating it can be, Minaji.
Yeah,
It's like you get married and first time and your husband hits you. It's very humiliating. We don't even tell our mother
yeah,
कि आज ऐसा हुआ था और
mm,
ऐसा. You see, हमें शर्म आती है.
yes.
तो उस शर्म में मेरी बच्ची खामोशी से बर्दाश्त कर रही थी. सो एक आदमी, सीबीआई ऑफिसर ने कहा, एक आदमी जो एक थप्पड़ मार सकता है आज, कल घूसा मारेगा, परसों मार डालेगा.
Mm,
तो मैंने कहा, अब तो आपको मालूम है, तो फिर पकड़ो.
mm,
तो व्हाई डोंट यू कैच हिम? अरे मैडम क्या करें, आई हैड अ फाइट विथ माय सीनियर. अब इसी बात पे आई एम टॉकिंग टू सर. Can you imagine a CBI officer telling me that he is going on a right direction and he had a conflict with his senior officer who is telling him to go his way, not the other way? So this is the kind of investigation you talk about. That one officer who is doing a proper investigation has been told off, has been given threats, and has been told you will lose your job. So who is going to investigate? And you can see very well what is happening in Samir Wankhade's case. It is so obvious. You
So,
can
Kiran,
imagine what
yeah,
government is
Rabiji,
doing.
yeah,
Yeah,
Rabiji, see, let me just get in Nidhi also.
yeah,
Kiran, you would have also known the
yeah,
case of Jhanvi Kukreja. How this
yeah,
young girl, she was only a teenager, how she
yeah,
was, they had inflicted around 48 wounds on her. And this was
yeah,
such a simple case. They had to only
yeah,
round up the people who had come at the party,
yeah,
and find out who were the drug peddlers and who were the people
yeah,
who arranged the party. And they could
yeah.
have solved it easily. But look at the way
I
they've been dragging it.
Yeah, and again, Nidhi ji, I'm so sorry about your loss, and I would just wish to say this. In this particular case, the line of investigation, and I think the outrage initially may have been directed towards the person who hosted this party. If you
Yes.
actually look at the crime itself, people were talking about whether he had a license to hold a party of this sort, whether he should have held a party at all, and so on and so forth. I think that's missing the point. Here was a case where a girl who went down to a party is found dead
Yeah.
at about between 1 and 2 in the morning, and
Yes.
her mother finds out. You find out about it at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
and and suddenly we're in a state of I'm sure Nidhi, Mrs. Nidhi was and her family would have been outraged and shocked, and the press is all over it. But we are missing the point in those very crucial hours in trying to, narrow down to who are the people we should be speaking to in the first place.
Yes.
Should
Yes.
we actually go after the guy who has hosted a party, whose intentions may not have been to other than have fun? And she was a young girl as well who went out with a friend. Nothing wrong with that. Just like Jia Khan, a 19-year-old girl. So, she ends up dead. There is so much evidence between the fourth floor and the eighth floor and the fifth floor, which should have been examined. We're talking about something that happened 12 months ago.
Yes.
And I understand that, one of the accused, or at least accused number one, is still behind bars.
Yes.
And accused number two is one that has been enlarged on bail recently.
Yes.
The girl Dia, I think, has been enlarged on bail.
Yes.
As much as we don't want to, as somebody who's been the victim, we don't want to hear this. Courts work under the premise that, jail is an exception, bail is the rule. And once a charge sheet has been filed, bail is granted usually by the criminal courts. And what tends to happen, of course, in this case, because the boy could tamper with witness, there is obviously, the courts have seen it worthy to keep him in custody for a lot longer than they've actually enlarged the girl out on bail. But the point I try to make is this. If you don't do a good enough job of investigating the crime in the first 24 to 48 hours, and, Mrs. Kukreja, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but here was a party where there were a lot of youngsters. And by the time there was awareness that such a crime had been committed, there would have been a sanitization effort.
Yes.
In fact, that's one of the very reasons why the moment police take cognizance of an offense of this kind, it is critical to round up suspects, independently interrogate/investigate them. Yes, police have their means, which is not always palatable, especially if you're innocent. But it is that 24 to 48 hours where a lot of things come to light. And if after that happens, the police don't do a good job of documenting it and taking it through to a process of charge sheet and beyond, then we are going to see the kind of difficulties that Mrs. Khan, as also Mrs. Kukreja, are experiencing. Again, like I said, it is to a fixed blame. Who is obviously, a ghost did not come and account for Mrs. Nidhi's daughter.
That's exactly
And
what we are trying to say, sir.
right, and so there are people out there who are aware of what's happened. Just like in Mrs. Khan's case, there are people out there who know exactly what has happened. I think there was some talk about the CCTV visual. But, the larger picture is, why would somebody come and threaten Mrs. Khan or her lawyers in the early days? A calculated guess could be that there was a lot of money riding on this accused. He had serious people backing him financially. And those monies run into, crores of rupees. And so what's a girl's life when you're talking about commercial interest? And, that's not how any society should be. But unfortunately, we see that may have happened, right? Because if I don't think the accused parents would have had the gall to go out and threaten Mrs. Khan. There were larger powers at play, right? And it is the job of the police.
But
But
why,
what tends,
why, but why
yeah,
the large power is playing? What is their vested interest? What is the vested interest of the politicians?
I can only take a calculated guess, ma'am.
Yeah.
Either you're trying to defend somebody or you're trying to take care of commercial interest. It could only be
Sir,
one
I
of
would
the
like
two.
to ask you
But
something.
why commercial? First of all, why is the person giving and why is the person taking? You understand me? Why are you taking? To protect. Why are you giving? Because you know that your party involved is an accused.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is why
Look,
this exchange is happening.
yeah.
Otherwise, if this exchange did not happen, this corruption wouldn't happen. The case would have not gone so long. You see, ek khata khul gaya, an account has been opened, and that chain of account, that chain goes on. I was told many a times, and many brokers also came to me. Brokers approached me that आप इनको फला फला को 10 लाख दे दो या इतना डील कर लो तो आपको जस्टिस मिल जाए. मैंने I said, excuse me, सच बोलने के क्या पैसे लगते हैं? मैं तो सच बोल रही हूँ, मैं क्यों पैसा दूं? मेरे लॉयर्स लेते हैं, मेरी टीम लेती है, उनका that is their profession and I'm paying what their fees is. लेकिन उसके ऊपर over that I don't need to bribe anyone because I am not here for revenge. I am here for truth. और सच के पैसे नहीं लगते.
I think yeah, yeah. And
Yes,
ma'am, I
Kiran?
understand what you're saying. And I think one of the earliest things that should have happened in a Jia Khan, and this is all something that the police could have always, dropped if they really strongly believed that there was no case to answer, which is, along with the abetment to suicide charge that was levied against the accused, it could have possibly helped if the 302 case was also, uh, been pursued, and if at a later stage, after thorough investigation, and I'm not speaking for you, Mrs. Khan, but I'm also speaking for the system, if they felt that there was not enough evidence or they had not deliberately put evidence together, whatever the reasons are, then you could have always, what happens is, the investigating agency, which is the CBI now, is pretty much picking up investigation where the Mumbai police left. Right? The tone has been
No.
set by the Mumbai police.
No. They completely, from the police's charge sheet, they cut and paste. It's not where they left. They have done nothing because they were told not to touch. That is why they have not even collected evidence, sir.
See,
They are asking the court now, after 8 years, give us the evidence.
see, Kiran,
We need to analyze it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very similar to what has happened with the SSR case. See,
Yeah.
they botched up all the evidence. Okay, they wiped out everything, and finally, when the
Yes.
CBI came in, they had absolutely nothing in hand. And
Yeah.
see, if you look at Nidhi's case, see, it's a very clear-cut case. You have a party, okay, and this host has invited a drug peddler, and they were having drugs as well as alcohol, and these are all young kids. We're talking about very young kids.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to round up those people, who were involved and solve it. But
So,
nothing happened.
look, I can only give you a speculative answer, and it doesn't help Nidhi's mother to hear this. But when all of those witnesses had seen what they had seen in
At the
Janvi's
party.
case
Yes.
at the party, right? They themselves may feel like if we come out, they may have actually either smoked weed, they may have done something else, they may have been completely drunk,
Yes.
and if they were to come on board as witness, that takes a lot of courage
Yeah, and threatened as
to
well.
say that I was there at the party, I was drunk, but I was sober enough to know what was going on, right? And to abstain completely is the safest thing to do. And like Mrs. Khan
Sir.
said, yeah.
But that
Sorry,
is
ma'am.
wrong, no, sir.
Yeah.
They are
I
childhood
absolutely
friends.
agree it's wrong.
Yeah,
I
Nidhi.
absolutely.
And for each other, why are you just friends to go for a party, just drink, enjoy?
No.
Is the host
No,
not responsible if If you are calling 10 children home, they were not outsiders. They were all known people. Out of that, 5 girls were from my premise. So, are they
So
not responsible? If you're taking my daughter who didn't want to go for the party, is the host not responsible? If he's calling children, doesn't he have to monitor? And when 144 is on, section 144 is on, how
okay.
are you allowing the party to go beyond 12 o'clock? Is the
Yes.
father not responsible to go up and check on the children and shut the terrace and say, please come down
Yeah.
and sit at home? Don't sit up. We as parents were not aware. They were at the terrace. We were told they are chilling in the house. Second thing, we were
Yeah.
informed at 5 o'clock when all the parents, can you imagine the child who is dead? The parents are not informed. All the children have my phone numbers. They have informed other parents living in the same society. Was it important to call them first or call me first? So in those
Ma'am,
2 hours, have they destroyed the evidences, cleared things? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Mm,
They
absolutely.
are
look,
leading me
I
to
think
suspicion.
no, and more than anything else, if you have 48 wounds on your body and you have a fractured skull,
Exactly. Exactly. She has not slipped or she has not just fallen down. There are 48 injuries, sir. Even if you take half a minute for an injury,
and
24
Meenaji,
minutes,
Yes. Yes.
Meenaji,
24 minutes.
this is
No
pretty much
sleep.
Yeah.
Coming to
confirming what.
witnesses,
Yeah,
sir,
Kiran,
Yeah.
what
I
did you
need to
say?
tell you,
Jia,
coming to
Rabia,
witnesses,
one second,
when
Rabia.
Jia's
Rabia, one
best
second.
friend,
Rabia ji, 1 second. Yeah, Kiran, yes.
No, I was actually going to say that even when we saw what happened with um, Sunanda Pushkar,
Yes. Yes.
that was another classic case where 58 wounds on her body. The
Yes.
forensic expert came out and
Yes.
gave his report saying that this was not a normal death.
Yeah.
So I agree with whatever the mothers are saying here today. Not for a moment am I going to defend either the police or for
Yes.
that matter.
Absolutely.
But all that I'm trying to say is this: once an offense of this sort takes place, it
Yeah.
is so critical for the first 24 to 48 hours to
Yes.
go right, for everything
Absolutely.
else after that to go right.
Yeah.
Mrs. Khan was talking about what the courts are doing. Mrs. Khan is also talking about what the CBI did not do. But I think, and I hate to say this, but as the trial commences and progresses, right, it can be, even more excruciating, for the simple reason that everything that you know and believe is the truth
Yeah.
is going to get dissected in a court of law to be false.
Yeah.
And that is what defense lawyers do, unfortunately, because you're presumed innocent when you take a brief. And I'm not speaking for the lawyers, and I'm not even speaking for the system, but unfortunately what's going to happen is we didn't do a damn good job of what was supposed to be done in the first 24, 48, 72 hours of the commission of an offense, and the cascading effect of that is there for victims to bear through the remainder of that process. And it is obviously disheartening.
So, what do
But
the mothers
sir,
do now?
no, sir,
that, yeah,
let me tell you, sir,
Yeah.
sure.
Rabia
let
ji.
me give audience a little bit of my observation has been. When a
Yeah.
crime happens, like in Nidhi's case, the first thing what the criminal party does is to manage the police.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
once the police is managed, then the documents, because police takes all the documents.
Yeah.
Initially, police has got the real documents. They know the real culprits. They know everything.
Yeah.
They have
Exactly.
everything. I will not say later, then they start manipulating it. This is
Yeah.
what happened in my case. Even the Panchnama, every bedroom in my house, it is a 2-bedroom apartment with hall and kitchen. Every room had a ceiling fan, and every ceiling fan was high enough. Now, when they write the Panchnama, two things go to the trial. One is the Panchnama, and the second is the FIR. Now, what happens? Panchnama is so badly manipulated. My 2-bedroom apartment looked like a 1-bedroom apartment. And it seemed as if in that 1 bedroom, there was only one fan. So there was no other place that Jia could reach, only that one bedroom. And so this is how, I don't want to go into length, otherwise, we'll run out of time. And the second is the FIR. They manipulate the FIR, that even my FIR was written by the police, and they edit it by concocting police's own story of breakup bouquet. When I said, how did this come up? Oh, it was my intelligent idea. Police is saying this to me, that it was my intelligent idea because I wanted to catch the boy. Hello? Is this what you do? And the witness, when I told the witness has told me, Jia's friend, who has told me that he used to beat her up and she's seen bruises on her. That witness, coming to witness what Nidhi is talking about, I have to say, the witness are grilled by the police. They are warned and threatened by the police. So why will a witness come on trial? Which witness are you talking about? Any witness who will come with that guts, as you're saying, they have to have strength and guts and courage. Their courage is taken away. Their families are given threat. That little girl, Jia's friend, she was threatened so badly. You live alone with your mother. You see now, you watch out. What kind of threat? That girl has gone out of radar. So what justice am I expecting? The police and the defense, hand in glove, manipulate everything. Then they come and try to manipulate, my lawyers, by threatening them, by offering them money, by monitoring. So you see, it's such a vicious game. It's such a vicious thing that I've already understood, and I've given a closure to myself. By
Kiran,
handing over 200 pages of actual report internationally, by international panel. So I spent a lot of money. I literally sold my hair, and I gave that report to CBI. Look and read it and satisfy yourself that you and police have done nothing. And that is why, that was my closure. And I now want to see whether CBI will do it or not. And CBI's excuses, central government, paisa to hai nahi. अब पैसा नहीं है आपके पास में, तो हमको पहले ही बता देते, हम आपको दे देते इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए. So my dear, sir, it is, I will not give any great hopes to anyone. Neither of my great hopes are with the judiciary. The lawyers keep saying, madam, patience rakho, system ko believe karo, judiciary ko believe karo. Kya believe kare? Without evidence, you are pursuing the trial. जो 9 साल से ट्रायल अभी तक ट्रायल ही नहीं हुआ है, तो it speaks in volume, right? I don't need Shakespeare to write my story.
That's what, Mr. Kiran, I want to ask you a question. Why do the trials take so much time?
So,
why do the trials take so much time to?
Ma'am, what I can speak for is what's happened during COVID. Look, I think in your case, 60 to 90 days after the charge sheet is filed, your next stage is framing of charges. And I believe that we may have hit that period. I wouldn't say the same about, Mrs. Khan's case, because that's a little different, right? But in your case, I would believe that the delay has possibly been more because we've not had courts here in Karnataka either. In Bangalore, I live in Bangalore, and we've had several adjournments, both in civil as well as on the criminal side. And a lot of cases get held up in that sense. But I would not believe that.
Yes, Nidhi?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't understand the system. Even when the bail things were going on, dates and dates and dates and dates. Why dates? You know the case. It is clear. Just finish it up. Yes or no? After 2 days, what takes you so much time? I'm just talking about the judiciary system. What takes you so much time to decide? How many times will the parents come and relive the moment?
Madam, I used to fly down from London twice, thrice a month for 8.5 years. You can calculate. There is no need for me to even give figures. The kind of, sir will know what kind of fees our counselors take. What kind of fees we are talking about. We are talking in 6 figures.
Clearly, Kiran, see, in Nidhi's case, in this building, when all this was happening, the shouting, the screaming, all the neighbors were keeping quiet. It was as if they were scared to even interfere in what happened. Because, see, this young little girl, frail girl, was dragged down the stairs, and
Yeah.
clumps of hair was there on the staircase and everywhere. And to me, when we think that, see, not even one neighbor opened their door to find out what's happening, itself shows how well manipulated it was. And the host could have, again, I'm saying could be involved in it, because why were these people not opening their doors? So could be they were scared of this family, who were hosting the
I'll tell
party.
you this. Look, in Janvi's case, I can tell you this. If the police had made their mind to find out what happened, I think just looking at what has happened, I believe they would have found out that in 24 hours.
Yeah.
There is no way. All they needed to do was round up 2 or 3 people, including the host, find out who all were at the party. And if they really wanted to get to the bottom of it,
Yes.
there is absolutely no reason, whether the ways police deploy is legitimate or otherwise. I seriously believe that in that particular case, more so than Mrs. Khan's case, I believe that the police could have gotten to the bottom of it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Right? The only excuse the police could possibly give, right? Because look, I think today there is enough evidence to suggest who was at the party. Even if you were to say I was not at the party, all you need to do is take out the CDR, the call data records, and it will show the tower location of who was at that venue. It's very easy. Once you've established who's there, and you round up 2 or 3 people, right? And you take them into police interrogation, you will know what has happened. There is no way the police can claim that. Sure, ma'am.
Yes.
The tower location you're talking about, tower location covers a very big area. Nowadays, every smartphone has got GPS. You don't have to even look into the tower. But in Jia Khan's case, they did not. She had the latest Z10 BlackBerry, which tells the precise location, GPS. Right? The first thing police does is take the phone, look into the tower location, or look into the GPS, look into the conversation, look at in Vankade's case and others, how they have opened WhatsApp, how they have opened the chats. Even in Aryan Khan's case, they have opened all the chats. Why can't they? But in Sushant's case, they have not even filed a charge sheet.
Yeah.
At least in Nidhi's case, my case, charge sheet is his case is more pathetic. There is no charge sheet. You can imagine that what a high-profile case it is. That means high influential people's children are involved. That is why there is so much of corruption in it.
Here, Kieran and Nidhi and Rabya. See, this is something else that I wanted to talk about, Kieran, is that, see, in the SSR case, people like, police officers like Paramveer Singh, Waze were involved. Okay. Here, in this case, in Nidhi's case, the first person who reached there was Trimuke. Trimuke is the same person that Riya Chakravarti was confiding in every time she went to NCB and came back. Okay. Yeah. So these are the police. I mean, Trimuke was working under Paramveer Singh, and the kind of people they are. We now know what they consist of, So there's a lot of hanky-panky, as you said. If it was found out initially, it would have solved the case.
In fact, I think Mrs. Khan, as also Mrs. Kukreja, were actually saying the same thing. Were the only thing that I think is that I understand and I fully can empathize that there is a lot of frustration with the system. But I am saying this to you that I agree with you. Look, if they wanted to get to the bottom of it, insofar as Janvi was concerned, I believe that would have been fairly straightforward and easy, right? Because it was acknowledged that she was at the party.
Yes.
It is a known fact that she was, she had gone there with a friend. She had been taken into custody, this girl, right? And agreed that they're 19, 20-year-olds, but, and they would get intimidated far quicker than a hardened criminal.
Yeah.
Right. We're dealing with youngsters. We're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds who will not be able to withstand tough police interrogation.
Yes.
Right. As opposed to a hardened criminal. And the same goes to the accused that is in, Jia Khan's case.
Yes.
If he had been around, instead of giving him the cushion of 7 days, if the police had picked him up in 24 hours and questioned him in ways they should have, right? We would have had more material before us,
Yes.
and we would
Plus,
have also not
plus the CCTV footage where his father was also seen.
exactly.
Yes,
Look, I think I yeah. Sorry,
but
ma'am.
in my daughter's case, they know the accused, but they did nothing. Even his friend, there were three people that night: him, his friend, and his servant. All three of them, because Jia goes, and it is the statements are there. Everything is documented and then later on manipulated. The eyewitness, one of the eyewitness who opened the knot, his statement was not even taken. It was taken in November. The incident happened in June. So look at the kind of manipulation police does. It is all police. I will blame police, and they threaten the witness. So they are the one who create the obstacles in the trial, and then the papers
Yeah.
are evidences are not produced. So why is this
Yeah.
But
manipulation?
here in
And most of the
case,
time,
but
advocates are
Yeah.
threatened, intimidated by
Nidhi?
judges and others.
Yeah,
And what
Nidhi?
happens? They don't speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nidhi?
But here in Janvi's case, the forensics have matched. This is what I want to ask you, sir. The forensics
Yeah.
have matched on both the accused number one and
Yeah.
accused number two. Both are
Yeah.
blood stains have matched. They both
Yeah.
are under 302 and 109. They
Yeah.
are under section 302. So how one
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
bail and one doesn't get bail when both are under the same section? How the girl has
Ma'am,
got bail?
yeah, yeah. So look, this is what happens now when you're actually uh, pretty close to saying that it's highly likely, right? When forensics match, when investigation matches, and all of that happens, a conviction ensues. Now, what you're looking at is what's about to happen beyond a trial, right? We're at the stage where a charge sheet has been filed before the court, charges have to be framed, and then starts the real process of trial, right? The bail aspect, for some reason, a lot of people feel is an acquittal of an accused. It's not.
Yeah.
It's actually not an acquittal. It's just interim relief granted
Yeah.
to somebody, but the trial goes on. The only thing that I would suggest to y'all, and I know it's hard because you've lost a daughter, right? And you shouldn't be fighting for this. But I would say this to you, Mrs. Kukreja, is to stay close to the case. It will be frustrating. There will be adjournments. You're not a lawyer, so you will not be able to appreciate why it's being done. And sometimes there's no good reason because the other side will
No.
come and ask for time. The accused lawyer will come and
See,
ask for time.
I'm a layman, sir. So since you are
Exactly.
on a platform today, this is the question I'm asking as a
I agree
layman
with
to
you.
you. Why is that?
No, look,
I'm putting his lawyer perspective view. Why is that one
Yeah.
person has given bail and one person has not given bail? Same
Yeah.
circumstances, same 302 and 109, same section. So why the girl? On what basis the girl was given
Look,
bail?
look, I can only make a calculated guess here again because I haven't looked at the charge sheet. The role of the boy in the perpetration of this crime may be far greater than accused number two, which is the girl. Right? The role that he has played, as and when they've interrogated the boy, picked up all the statements, done what they've done. Although both of them, look, I think in a commission of a murder, right, as much as somebody who's actually struck a blow, the person who's assisted is equally culpable. But the person who's actually struck a blow, the severity of the crime tends to be greater in his case. And so he's kept behind bars for a prolonged period. He will also get bail at some point. I need you to mentally prepare yourself for that. As and when a trial is about to commence, he will get, but that does not mean he's being acquitted.
Yeah, but in my
You know,
case, they did not collect the messages, the BlackBerry evidences, did not send the dupatta for analysis and all. And because the messages, if it is 306, like, oh, he abetted to suicide, like he's
Yeah.
telling, he's provoking or assisting Jia to go and commit suicide. Okay, that is abetment to suicide. Now,
Yeah.
if he's abetting her to commit a suicide, then all those messages and the BlackBerry text messages will be helpful to him. If he's not guilty, 302, then he will be guilty of 306, right? Even
Yeah.
that has not. So what, without this evidence, how can you even charge him 306? On what basis you charged him 306 when you don't even have an evidence of 306? So that is
You
a clear acquittal, right?
look,
A clear
and
acquittal.
I will say this to you from what I've read based on what's available as public material, ma'am, in Jiah's case. A 306 was put in place quite
Yeah,
early in the whole process.
yeah.
They
And
never
how?
wanted to go down. They never wanted to go down the 302 path,
Yes, why?
and
Yeah,
so
exactly.
whatever they were. It
After even
appears.
seeing the
It appears
injuries,
to me. It appears to me that the Bombay police has botched this investigation.
of
There is no
course,
two ways about it. It appears
extortion
very
of
clear.
money, extortion of money.
And all of that would have followed. What you're saying to me would have possibly followed, or there could have been political pressure. There could have been pressure from the people who finance these movies, right? And
Yeah,
you're talking about an investigation officer, and at the end of the day, he reports into a DCP. I mean, if you look at the structure in which the police operate, it's a DCP, there's an ACP, and then there is this investigating officer who's tasked with picking up crucial evidence and building up the entire crime scene. If any one of them in that value chain, starting with the DCP all the way through if they are compromised,
Yeah.
right? Unfortunate and true, but we see what we are seeing now, because uh, it's not comfortable to say this, right? At the end of the day, there are a lot of people watching this program, and as a lawyer, to come on a show and say, don't have faith in the legal system, don't have faith in the police system, that's not something that anybody would like to say, because I wouldn't even want to say that aberrations happen. I wouldn't even want to do that. But in this particular case, because you are the aggrieved party here, I can absolutely say that. I mean, what is wrong in evaluating an evidence that was presented before the police? You either have to say yes, it aligns with the crime, or no, it does not align with the crime. But to discard it and to not evaluate it at all, leaves a very nasty feeling for all concerned, in this case yourself and family, which is, why wasn't the BlackBerry evaluated? Why wasn't the dupatta evaluated? These were crucial pieces of evidence.
so so
Yeah,
when it comes to forensic reports, I want to
yeah,
tell Nidhi about it. The police will use its expertise as if they are the forensic doctors when it suits them. And when the forensics are manipulated, then say, it is not us, we are not forensic medical doctors, it is the doctors who have said it. The doctors have said something wrong. What is visual and what is on paper is completely different. The body is gone. Now what is left? Pictures are left, right, which you can see.
yeah.
And then the forensic report, the forensic doctors are asked by the investigating officer certain such generic questions, which you will only see generic answers. Do you understand my point? So what generic? And then they talk about common sense. I am sure the judges have got common sense. That is why my case went to CBI, because of
That's
a
exactly
judge
what
must
I'm
have
trying to
applied
say.
his common sense, because
Instead of
police had
police
not put
investigation,
pictures, police had
of
not put
the law.
CCTV, police had not
What
put
is
call
the
logs,
role of
they
the
had
law?
not put anything on the charge sheet. It must be judge who must have. We had put the pictures and other things, so there he must have used his
How
common sense.
how is law
So,
helping
What
Nidhi,
I'm
us?
trying to say, in the trial, the papers are taken
System. I'm
away,
talking
the
about
evidences are
the system.
damaged. I am doubtful even the evidences, true evidences, are there in the court or not. This is where
yeah,
I will conclude, because if I come to speaking about my case, I think your program will go longer and longer. And I would say this is how the manipulation of the judiciary system is. When they want to
yeah, Nidhi,
protect somebody, they will go and work so hard that even FBI will put their hat down.
Nidhi.
They work so
Haji,
hard.
my questions are more law related, since the charge sheet is filed and since we have a lawyer on the board,
Yeah.
I want to question him about the law system, sir. Where is
Yeah.
the law system heading?
ma'am, your specific
It's all
question
hand
is
in glove,
with
my dear.
your ma'am, your specific question was with regards to the delay and when will things pick up. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what your question
No,
is?
the charge sheet is I mean, I'm sorry, the trials are taking so much time. I was not
Yeah.
happy with the bail also. When what did I mean? I'm nothing. I cannot also say because contentment of court and all that and all that. Why was the girl
But
given bail? We are
but
still upset about
ma'am,
it.
ma'am,
We
let
are
me
still
do this.
upset about
Let me do this. I think Mrs. Meena has your contact coordinates on the back of this session. If I can just actually offer my services by way of looking through the bail order and the observations of the bail order and what could perhaps been the
I'll
there
tell
would
you
obviously be a
two things
sure.
about the bail order. She's 18 and first time crime. I mean, she's 18. So if at this age, if you can be so brutal, आगे तुम क्या करेगा? At 18, you're so criminal minded.
Ma'am, what would also be important to look at is her role in this crime. I know a crime has been committed. What did she actually do?
Yeah.
And courts tend to be a little lenient when it comes to people who, I mean, you look at all the NDPS is your drug related offenses that are happening in society today. The
Sympathy for the
courts,
accused and not the victim. Is this what our system
I
is?
know.
Sympathy for
No,
the
look,
accused.
I, I,
सारा
I,
जेल
I,
में है,
I, I
मर जाना चाहिए. What जेल में है?
no,
Two
look,
of them should be
I
hanged.
understand.
We have lost a child, sir.
And in the end,
I'm not
she's
even.
committed. It's not like she
No,
Yes.
look,
innocent.
I'm not even for a moment going to.
Kiran,
I'm not even for.
Kiran, yeah,
Yeah.
Kiran, that is Didi's younger daughter. Can you just show your face, please? Maybe
I
can your daughter just come in? Yeah, you were asking something. Please do.
It's like
Yeah, please do.
in the end, she still committed a crime. It's not like she hasn't. So I don't see, like, even if she's 18, so my sister's not here anymore. My, like, can you just think about that? And not like, oh,
No,
she's
look.
18.
Sorry, what's your name? What's your name?
Manya. Manya.
Manya, listen. Firstly, I'm really, really sorry for what's happened to your sister. And I know it doesn't help when somebody comes on the show and just says sorry because you've heard this from so many people. And you're very young and it's been obviously very traumatic for the family. Right. So I fully understand that, but I can never claim to be in your shoes because, these are difficult ones. But what I can tell you is this. Now, insofar as Dia is concerned, right, the law says that, typically because she's 18, she should be given a second chance. I'm not saying that that's going to be the end result. I'm not saying that. She could very well end up in jail for a long time. Or she could spend a few years, if she is convicted, she could spend a few years in prison and she may come out. Either she may come out a changed person or she may have, whatever. But what I would like to say to you is this, and I know it's very difficult where you're at. It's only been a year. I hope and pray that with passage of time, you're able to absorb some of these things because all things that happen outside are not great. I know this is not good enough for you right now, but the courts will look at it as she could be given a second chance at some point. Do we confine her to jail for the rest of her life from the time she's 18 to the time she's 60, 70, 80? It happens in America in some cases. There was recently a case where a teacher was put behind bars for 155 years. So she'll obviously die a natural death. In fact, courts there will pass an order saying for the rest of your natural life. Indian courts tend to be a little more lenient in that sense, right? And I fully appreciate that where you're at right now. And how old are you, Manya?
I'm 15.
15. So, nothing I tell you today is going to give you comfort because your loss is too big. But what I hope, happens over time is that you're able to see why. because to carry this with you for the rest of your life, uh, we don't care what happens to Dia or doesn't happen to Dia, but it's going to do a lot of damage to you at such a young age. And I hope and pray that that doesn't happen.
Like it's almost gonna be a year, and I still exactly don't know what happened to my sister. I don't think it's fair for me, my mother, my father, my entire family.
Mm.
All of them may not know what happened. And even now, if they say the truth, we will not believe them because all they've been doing is lying throughout.
Mm. And they'll be lying only to save themselves, because the problem that may have happened at this party, Manya, is that everybody there may have made small mistakes. Somebody may have had too much to drink, somebody may have actually had something they should not have been having, and something very big has happened between them, in the midst of them. But if they were to go out there and tell people we saw this happen, then they're exposing themselves to all of this. That is not a good enough explanation for a girl like you,
Sir,
because I think you're brought up on very good values. And so somebody like me telling you deal with it is not how it should work. It's too
sir,
big a loss. Yes, ma'am.
sir, can I interrupt here?
Yeah, please.
Sure, please.
In my
Please.
case, when the case went to CBI, right? When it was with police, the police did not want to spare the boy, but wanted to punish him with a lighter punishment. So they put 306. They wanted to punish him for 21 days in the jail, because that's what the officer told me. When I said, if my daughter has been murdered, sir, what is your proof? I said, you are supposed to be collecting proofs. But whatever I have collected, I'm showing you. And I did to the officer. So he said, I need bigger proof. I said, how am I going to get bigger proof? Do I have the authority to go and interrogate him? So coming to this, they start sympathizing with the criminal if they are whatever, either young or rich or influential. The first thing, one of the officers was saying, the other young boy has got diabetes. I would say, kya puchenge? And the other one, I've got pressure from Bollywood icons, from everywhere, that not to interrogate him, not to touch him, because he's going to be launched. I mean, this is the kind of value you have in that criminality or in your criminology. Then don't do. Taras kha ke chhod do. Because usne to taras, he was not feeling sympathetic towards our children and sparing them. He went ruthlessly and killed. And then law says eye for an eye. Then what law we are talking about, sir?
Ma'am,
What are we talking about?
our
That's why
law
I'm
still
saying we are troubled. We are troubled by the loss, as well as the agonies about the system. We go through the agony, the line of fire we walk the day we start fighting for justice. That is the line of fire. I told कि मेरे आंसू, I have not cried for my daughter. I will cry the day I see her in heaven. But I am in agony seeing the justice system. I'm intimidated because I'm a woman. I've not been heard because the influence is coming or the judges are being intimidated.
Sir, my question
This
is,
is
what
not
do we
called
do
justice
now?
system.
Ma'am,
Even some
we
of
do
you,
now?
as lawyers, must not be aware
Families are
that what goes
suffering.
on.
Our families are suffering.
They
We
come,
as
the
mothers,
powerful people come to the court to intimidate the judge. I have seen it with my own eyes.
but our family
या तो
each
गोली खाओ
every
या
day.
judgment दो. So who will give? I've seen a
We are shedding
magistrate court, a judge having cold feet and said, please take away this case from me. Twice in high court, a lady judge said, don't bring this case in front of me. What is this?
Yes, Nidhi?
And
See, here,
the system
sir,
is made by
we
people.
are fighting every moment. Luckily,
So where do we
I
stand?
have good lawyers.
We are told, go,
I
trust the system.
I have no complaints with my lawyers.
Enter, this is
Wherever
the
I have
temple of
come
justice,
today,
where it is.
it's because of my lawyers. I have reached here is because of them. they are, I'm very happy with my set of lawyers. Be it the SPP, though I had to change the public prosecutor I had got. I took special permission for SPP. We've got a wonderful SPP. I've got a wonderful lawyer. I'm an intervener. We've applied for
Yeah.
intervention in the
Yeah.
court.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
concerning my lawyers, to be honest, I have reached here is only because of them.
Yeah.
They have fought very well until today. Whatever we are is because of, but each thing, the system that delays everything, the law, like now even like a smallest thing, Dia's parents ask for permission. They want to go to Rajasthan for a holiday. They need a
Mhm.
break. Where do we go, sir? We don't even step out of the house. We don't even go to. We haven't even seen what a restaurant is,
Ma'am,
and they want to go for
I'll say
these
this to
things. They
you.
hurt us. Why
I
does
agree. Look,
the judge
I,
give them
I,
permission to go for taxi? She's a criminal.
I, I'll say this to you. I'll say this to you, and I hope that you can take it in the spirit that's coming out from my side as much as possible. And I know it's difficult. Shut yourself out to all of this that's happening around you. Whether they're filing an application before the court, seeking permission to go on a vacation, I know it is almost taunting you, right? And it's taunting your agony. But I would just request you to shut out all of those, because those are the negatives. Look at what's happening with the case. Just focus on the material that's being put before the court. I know Mrs. Khan's going to have a very different experience of this, but where your case is, Mrs. Nidhi, it's 12 months. The delays may have been on account of the stop open kind of a situation in Maharashtra, right? At the end of the day, you're before a sessions court, and the sessions court, once the charges are framed, you'll find that things will move along. And there are very clear guidelines by the Supreme Court that once we get to the stage of evidence, that things shouldn't get drawn out indefinitely. Early stage of an offense, which is where you're at right now, and it's very different to what's happened with Jia Khan. It's very different. Jia Khan, the forces at play were very,
Because
very
my
different.
my my child today suffered with just accompanying a friend. She just accompanied a friend to wish someone, and she lost her life. I mean, who do I send
It's
my child
tragic. It
with if I
is.
don't send with a childhood neighbor? Yeah, she lost her life for
No,
what? Just
look,
accompanying a friend. This is
look.
unfair.
There's nothing I can tell you which is look. I not so long ago, and this is just adding to the stats that I have. There was a girl by the name of Anisha Batra. That's a family that I knew fairly well. I knew her brother fairly well, and
Yeah.
she's an air stewardess that was actually similar to Jia Khan's case. It was reported that she actually died uh, in an abetment to suicide kind of a situation, which is what the accused has been charged with. He was her husband, and he was from a very influential family in Delhi.
Yeah.
And this girl was locked up in a bathroom just moments before her death. She
Yeah.
had actually SMSed. In fact, some of these were covered extensively by Republic as well. She
Yeah.
was in a bathroom. Her parents were actually subsequently interviewed. And it's something that I was fairly closely associated with.
Yeah.
And they moved heaven and earth to try and have a 302, because all the evidence, at least the circumstantial evidence leading up to this incident, seemed to suggest that she had also been taken care of. But eventually, when the charge sheet was filed, it was a 306. He was in custody for almost 18, 19 months, and subsequently, he's out on bail now. And again, very well connected and so on. So, to you,
Huh.
Mrs. Kukreja, I would say, stay at it. You know, once the charges are framed and evidence is being recorded, you'll find that things will move a lot faster. And I hope and
Kiran.
pray that you get
Yeah.
justice. Yes.
Yeah. Kiran, there's going to be a change of judges this year.
Yeah.
Another set of judges are going to come in Supreme Court. That's what we
Yeah.
read.
Okay.
And also the fact that, see, in an interview that Gogoi gave to Arnab, Republic
Yeah.
and other channels, he did
Yeah.
say that there is corruption in judiciary. He did hint at it. Okay.
Right.
Now,
Right.
how can the system be cleansed? I mean, see, when mothers like Rabya ji and Nidhi, they are just fighting for what is their right. If we cannot get what is what is our own right, because the whole system is corrupt, right from the politicians to the the police and the the media, everything is corrupt. What chances do they
Mean,
have? Because every time
mean,
they look for hope. I know, Kiran, you're not representing. I'm talking to you as a person, Kiran.
yeah, no,
See, what I'm saying
Meenaji,
is
I'd
that,
like to say this. I'd like to say this. Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to say this.
yeah.
Look, there's going to be rotten apples in every aspect of life. We have them in our families, we have them in society, we have them in police, we have them everywhere, right? And I would hate to go to court. I would hate to go to court thinking that the entire judiciary before me is on the take or is corrupt or is compromised, right? I will not even for a moment doubt that there that because we've had some fabulous judges. We've had not some, we've had a lot of fabulous judges, even in the lower judiciary, at the high courts, at the Supreme Courts. It's not, see, look, people talk extremely casually about the judiciary sometimes. I wouldn't talk about these two specific cases because that's not what this is about. Because I think a lot of things happened here even before they reached the judiciary. But I think, we've got to hold our hope with the judiciary because there are rotten apples everywhere. And as and when those rotten apples are surfaced, I think there is a system in place to take care of them, and some of them get away. I'm not going to say that everybody that's corrupt is being brought to book. No. But you've also got to remember that the institution has to remain strong in perception too. The
So why
institution
do we
cannot.
have to say some of the judges are very, we had some of the judges? I think we, as common people, we expect every judge to be, oh, he's a judge. He's in that high position. He will give right justice. He will listen to our, he will read the material. We expect that. We can't
Yeah.
be, it's not a lucky dip for us. We don't know. We don't know. We are not lawyers. We can't read the judges. Whosoever comes on the bench, we expect that judge to be a judge. Not we can't. We don't know. Oh, he's one of those some of the good judges, in that category of some of the good judges. Do you understand me? You
I
can
understand. Yeah.
understand. It is
Let
very
me let,
humiliating for us also.
let me say this. Let me say this in and I'm not trying to contradict you, ma'am, but I'm also trying to give you perspective so that it helps. The judge, when he sits in his chair, is looking at the material before him. It is the people who bring that material to him who need to do a damn good job for him to do his job better. Secondly, I'll give you an example of where, and this is not an India specific problem. I'll just give you one example. I'm not hoping that this would, I'm not saying that we have parallels in the legal system elsewhere in the world. We've got people who are criminals here in India being given, they are economic offenders. Some of them are murderers or accused of murder, and they've been convicted in absentia. And they are being given hostage in various parts of the world by legitimate first world countries for whatever reason they know best. That's not a good situation either. I mean, the banks in India are struggling with debt, people who've actually rotted the system and are sitting in other countries. So I'm not saying that, it's how it should be. You've been on the receiving end of something extremely traumatic, right? And I'm not even going to for a moment defend the agony that you've gone through. I mean, you've gone through some serious trouble. All I'm trying to say to you is that this would have happened quite early in the process. And the judge, right, cannot make up his mind on presumptions, but he's only going to look at the material before him. He may even in his heart know that the material placed before me is not of good quality. He may even verbally or otherwise reprimand the police. but at the end of the day, he can only rule on what's before him.
No, sir. No, sir. My material, my lawyers told me the judge has not read the material. Judge has not seen the material. Now that is the kind of when I said why all the material has been given, why, madam, I think the judge has not read the material. So what?
This
the
thing,
material
this
is
thing,
there.
I would like to interrupt. This thing, even
You
I
understand
have
me? And
heard
the
in the
order is
court that
something
1
else.
year, 1 year I've been going, when we ask certain people, the people in the court, the cartoons or the junior policemen or the other people, कि क्या होएगा जज का मूड के ऊपर है. I mean, how can you say जज का मूड के ऊपर है? अच्छा मूड होएगा मैम तो आपका केस जाएगा, बुरा मूड में नहीं होएगा तो कर देगा. How can you talk like that? What is judge ka mood got to do with when all the papers and everything is being given?
Yeah.
Here, this is something.
Nidhi, Rabya, and Kieran, just one intersection. Let me just tell you something. Kieran, see what happened in the Aryan case, is a point, a very important point, because see, everybody knows the kind of person Samir Wankhede was, okay, and the kind of raid he did. He's a very judicious, passionate officer, and look at the way Aryan, again, he's only out on bail, as you say, he's out on bail, but look at the concessions given to him. He doesn't have to report every Friday. Things are all in his court. While a person like Samir Wankhede has been ripped apart. His family has been ripped apart. So looking at it as public, I'm looking at a corrupt judge, a corrupt lawyer, a corrupt, politicians. Everything that I'm looking at seems corrupt because these people are getting away.
And Meenaji, I'd like to also say this: the fourth estate, which is the media, right?
Yes.
In Jiah Khan's case, as also in Aryan's case, they were driving the narrative.
Yes.
Now let's just say even before the matter came before the judge, the judge would have been under tremendous pressure. We have unqualified lawyers on talk shows telling the judge what he should be doing. I'm talking about, the interviews that happened when Aryan Khan's bail application was being heard.
Exactly.
Equally, in Jiah Khan's case, you had one side of Bollywood which said that here's a bechara young boy, up-and-coming boy, who may have made a small mistake, but he's being hanged for it. And then there's a rival channel which is saying that, this boy has actually committed murder but has run away. Now, a judge who's seated in his chair is looking at both, pretending he hasn't seen either. Right? And the media takes it up to a point of frenzy where everybody becomes a subject matter expert on what should be done by the judge. And what is a conservative? And the judge is a human being too.
Yeah.
True.
And so I remember the Jiah Khan situation.
Yeah, that's what happened in the case of Suraj Pancholi. So everybody made a god out of him.
Well, you know what happens? Initially, everybody hates the accused. And then there are PR firms here today which will start dictating the narrative.
Yeah.
They will actually show him as a great son. They will show him as somebody who did charity somewhere. They will start putting out images of how great a boy he was. And they will glorify him. And suddenly the very same people who felt he should be shot in the head are then starting to say, oh my God, what have we just done? And in all of this noise, when it's no longer TRP driven, Jiah Khan goes to a back page, Jahnavi goes to a back page, Sushant Singh Rajput goes to a back page, and eventually disappears from the media space.
And Kiran, one point I want to make very clear is that the boy, the host,
it's the perception.
Of the party,
they change the perception in order to bring justice.
That boy and the same girls who were at the party went for a picnic somewhere and were enjoying themselves as if this murder never happened.
Ma'am, I mean, Meenaji, I don't even know.
Meenaji, I have to go. I will take excuse from everyone.
Please.
Nidhi, all my prayers with you, sweetie.
Good night.
And sir, thank you, for coming. I have to go.
I just pray that, you find comfort and closure in whichever way it's possible.
Yeah, I will not give up. I will not give up.
Take care of yourself, and I hope
from their own lies. They will run out of their own lies and they will come with a truth will always surface. I only
I
believe in
pray.
this.
I pray for your good health, and I hope and pray
Yes.
that you get closure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
So I was speaking about, speaking about Nidhi. See, just look at this. See, the same boy and the girls who were there at the party, Kiran,
Yeah.
they were out after that, enjoying themselves as if nothing had happened. Aren't these girls scared? What happened at the host party? I mean, are
And
these
are the
children
parents
really
scared
children? Or
for
are they,
sending the children for an overnight? Are the parents not scared for sending that same child with that boy for an overnight?
yeah, absolutely.
Can history not repeat itself?
Yeah,
Someone
I
who's
think
been so irresponsible.
yeah. Kiran, I'm not speaking to you as a lawyer. We are just speaking to
I
you as
know.
a, yeah, yeah,
No, look, I think there are no right answers here,
yeah, yeah,
right? And it is difficult. I mean, we could speak about all the legalities we want,
yeah,
but who is to tell Nidhi?
yeah.
Who is to tell Mrs. Khan? Who is to tell Manya that this is what happened in court today. That's what the police did not do. This is what should have happened, could have. Who cares? They're actually looking for closure,
And you
and none
see
of
the
the.
irony, Kiran. The irony is the body was found at 1 o'clock. And when did Nidhi come to know of it? Nobody, even alerted her about it. Just look
Yeah,
at the
yeah. I think
irony of it. Her own daughter, and all these people
Nidhi,
alert to her.
Mrs. Nidhi, what does the chart sheet say? I mean, I haven't looked at it, so I don't know. But what does the chart sheet actually say by way of how the actual incident happened? And I don't know if you want to respond to this because I see Manya, and I'm sure she's possibly heard all of this as well. But I don't know if
No,
it's not
because
comfortable
that's
for you to
been going
answer.
on. No, that's been going on in our house since a year. Journalists coming in, police coming in, the name, and Janvi has grown up with Dia itself, the accused
Yeah,
number two.
I read
So
I read about it. Yeah,
Manya has seen both the girls together. So for her, it is very difficult for this child.
yeah.
She's seen the other girl also. So for her to digest that Dia, because she used to call Janvi Didi and Dia Didi. So Dia could do something to Janvi. I mean, she always felt protected with those girls.
Because I haven't
And we
seen
were
the chart sheet.
friends.
What does the chart
We
sheet
are,
actually say, Mrs. Nidhi?
we are, sir, I'll just complete this. We are immediate neighbors, sir. So we are more
Yeah,
like family. Even when the
yeah.
father went out, our walls are like this. The father has passed my house. He has not rang my bell. Where at times he has rang my bell at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock for ice and water when he has parties in his house. And today he cannot means the father hid the crime from the minute it was committed. My daughter was admitted in Baba Hospital, which is a government hospital, and Dia was admitted in a private hospital, where the father lied itself that she fell in the bathroom. So it started from there itself, and it is there in the charge sheet, where the father said she slipped in the bathroom at home. Means the father knew it, and he has passed my house. He didn't have the audacity to ring my bell. The whole family knows me. He could not tell anybody, first go inform Nidhi. My child is lying alone in a government hospital where anything can be done. Kidneys can be taken out, whatever. None of the parents said, till the parents come, we should be there. Who's leading us to suspicion? They themselves, sir.
And the role of accused number 2 and 1, has it been? I'm sure it is articulated in chart sheet.
Yes.
So,
See,
and that's obviously the reason why he's still in custody.
yes. According to the charge sheet, is something that my daughter has seen between them, an intimate
Sure,
scene or what, which my daughter,
sure. I
has
understand.
tried to stop. See, she's a childhood friend. They are friends. They've grown up together. So even if I have a
Sure,
friend and I know my friend is drunk, and that boy is
sure,
taking advantage of her, I would try to stop. Come
sure.
on, yeah, don't do all this. Come on, let's go. Or they
Right.
are doing drugs, or they
Sure,
are intimate. As a friend, I would
sure,
protect, no? And she's always
sure.
been like that. My daughter has always, all the friends say that she's always been like that. It's a nature. Our upbringing is like this. So there's something that she has seen, something the other people also have tried to hide it so that they knew that she would go and tell her parents, because we have taught her to tell us everything. That is where they are feared. That is why they've beaten her brutally, and then they've seen and they've killed her so that she doesn't open her mouth.
Was there any
The
medical
charge sheet
examination
says,
undertaken? Was there any medical examination done on accused number 1 and 2 by way of the kind of
yes,
substances that they had on them?
yeah, but that showed negative, no? It said they were not under an influence of alcohol nor drugs,
No.
because samples went after 5 days, sir. What do I do? Do I mourn the death of my daughter? Do I run from government hospitals? Do I call MLAs? Do I sit in the police station? Do I look at my child, the other child at home? What do I do? I could do what I could do the best, running pillar to post, going to commissioners, to going to MLAs, to ministers, to get my things done. What do I do as a mother? Luckily, I had support. Luckily, I had support. What if I didn't? And that is because of me pressuring and sitting on the head. They knew 2 times if I don't pick up Nidhi's call, third time she will be in my office. I wouldn't care. Allow karo, nahi allow karo, I'll be sitting here. Do what you want. It's not easy, sir. Charge sheet has shown her presence. Charge sheet has shown her blood matching with Janvi's blood on the bed sheet where she's gone down and slept. She has changed her statements 5 to 6 times. In one statement, she has claimed she was not there. Second statement, she is eating biryani. Third statement, she is in the bedroom where she lied down. How, when Janvi has not entered the bedroom, how has Janvi's blood come on the bed sheet? Is my question. Could the judge not
All
see
of
all that?
No, they look what you're talking about, ma'am, and I'll talk about it only in legal sense, is all of what is going to come through as the trial commences. You know, there will be opening state. I mean, just by way of procedure, I'm sure you know all of this now, but once, you know, evidence is being recorded, all of this will come, all of these inconsistencies that you talk about, all of the lies or the, you know, inconsistent statements made by the accused will come through. So, and it will be, if you're in court, I'm just preparing you for it because at best, that's all I can do for now. You know, it's not going to be easy for you to digest because they're only going to be thinking about how do I get away from this offense? How do I distance
And
myself from this offense?
I'll be only
And
thinking
you're
how they don't get away from this.
Exactly. So these are completely opposite positions when both of you face off in court. So I would only tell you that mentally prepare yourself to hear anything that comes out of their mouth. But just hold tight insofar as what your girl has done, what has happened, what is the evidence that's presented before the court. And I just pray and hope that you get justice. I just pray and hope
I will, sir.
for the sake of
I
your little
will,
girl.
I will, sir. I will, sir. People tell me be strong. I have no choice. But I will, sir.
No, look, these are
I
things that
will,
nobody
and I will get justice. I will
look.
get
These
justice.
are things that people don't, you know, ever think is going to happen to them in their lives, right? These are not
No,
normal
but I'm positive.
incidents that, and it, you know, it's very, very tragic. It's very, very unfortunate that it has happened. But I would just tell you that you've endured what you've endured for the last 12 months. Give yourself that strength. Draw it from whatever your faith is, in whichever way you do it, and see it through. Don't get distracted. I I wouldn't even say it's advice. You know, it's not coming from a lawyer, but I do see what happens in courtrooms every day. And I would only tell you this: don't get distracted by something that is, you know, blatant lies. That's what's going to come out once evidence is being recorded, because they're defending themselves. You should counter that with what you know. And I'm sure you said you're with good people. And I hope and pray that the system will stand up for you and give you the justice you deserve.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's not
Yeah.
easy for us. As a mother, yes, I do get distracted, and it is human
Yeah.
because my child has lost a life for no fault of hers.
Look, I know you're with
She
good lawyers and you have the advice you need, but if
Yes,
ever
I
during
am
the
with good
course of
lawyers.
this
God
entire
knows kindly
process, you feel like a phone call, I'm available. More than
Yeah,
happy.
I
Minaji will
will. I will. I will
share,
do.
share,
It
share my
only
number
means a
Yes,
lot.
absolutely.
with you. Feel free to give me a call at any point of time.
Yeah.
If something's,
Sir,
if there's something that you don't understand, if there's something that you're confused with, if there's something that you need clarity on, I'll do the best I can to help you.
Also,
So
Nidhi,
feel
sir,
free
it
to
please
means a lot.
note.
at
It
Yeah.
means a lot,
Also,
sir.
Nidhi,
It means a
yeah,
lot.
Nidhi, please note that Kieran is a very good friend, and I can vouch for him because I've known him for quite some time, and I trust him a lot. So, if, as he said, you have any questions, he'll be the
any
best person to
questions,
answer them.
feel free to reach out at any time.
Thank you,
Don't worry
sir.
about it. I'll do the best I can.
For
Thank you,
me,
sir. Means a
Kiran,
lot.
see, these cases have been troubling me so much. We've been covering sessions after sessions with both the parents, and there seems to be so much of sadness within, mainly because the whole system is corrupt, and see, neither you nor I can say anything about it. I mean, it's just the system, you know. So
And in summary, also, Meenaji, what happens is the overwhelming volumes that the courts are dealing with, right?
yes,
And there's so many considerations, even for a police guy to actually get posted to a police station,
yeah,
and the kind of pressures that he's under to
yeah,
even get a seat in that police station. And then he's got 12 months to figure it out,
yeah,
right? And he's got to feed a family as well. So it's not just something that happens once you enter the courtroom.
yeah. No,
the
that's why I
the
said the
the
system.
contamination the
Kiran. I see
contamination
that's the
starts.
system. Yeah,
The poor constable, somebody who wants to actually be a constable, has to bribe somebody to get into the
yeah. See,
station.
that's all right, Kiran. That's all. We know what's happening, but see, as a mother, one can only expect justice for the child, and that's
And
what
Mrs.
both these
Kukreja is
cases
not going
are.
to, not going to listen to any of this, and she shouldn't,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, they were a good family living their life with two daughters, and they've
In
lost one
fact,
of them.
Kiran,
So yeah,
you're only seeing Nidhi. If you see her husband, he's totally down. He's more of an introvert. Who's been trying to suppress all the sadness. At least Nidhi is speaking out and talking. But in his case, it's totally the opposite. He's been taking so much and keeping quiet
yeah.
about it.
Now, look, I mean, as I said, to the whole family, please try and find a way, uh, because that's important.
And
You have a girl who's 15, and you have a life
Meenaji, it
ahead of
was his
you.
birthday. You know, Kiran, it was his
Yeah,
birthday that day. So imagine that
I
father,
read.
what he must be feeling. No, I mean it's easy to say. It was that father, how he must be feeling. He can never celebrate his birthday on 31st. For me to come up for them, he just can't come. You're a father yourself. You're a man. You know how for a father it's so difficult, and it's we were a small knit family, not getting into anything. Our girls were home, not going out. Education was always priority. Janvi was a 95% student who had career and things were her focus. Boyfriends and all were not her focus. But
Ma'am,
this to happen to a
every
family like
child,
this.
yeah, no, look, every child deserves to have, the best opportunities he or she can get, and it's very, very tragic. But I just hope that y'all find that outlet, and if speaking about it helps, so be it. If any other ways can actually fall in place for the family to come out of this difficult, it's too raw. It's too raw. I just hope that passage of time will help the family, in living the good memories of your daughter, and looking forward to, you've got a lovely daughter there right by your side, and I just hope and pray you pick your lives up again, and yeah.
My thing
Yeah.
is
So
just
yeah,
why does the system doesn't change here the way it's abroad? the laws are so strict. That's why crime rate is less. Why doesn't happen in India?
Ma'am, I just wish to correct your perception. Crime rates are actually in certain crimes, the per capita data in other countries, including countries like America, is far worse. If you look at America, it's far, far worse. I know, in a country like ours, we have, the only problem is we're extremely insensitive because of the volumes that we have. We read about it today and then we move on. We forget about it because, oh, you know what? Something happened. It happened yesterday. It happened day before. It happened last week. So we move on. But there's always a grieving family, which is things are never going to be the same again. So, but don't be under the misconception, I would say, that things are hunky dory. They're not actually. There are many countries, South Africa, for instance, America, England, they have, uh, fairly bad data. They don't have the population we have, so you don't see the numbers, but it's as bad. And crimes there are different. So I think yes, there is absolutely a need for us to sort things out in our neighborhood. But it is also a challenge, and I just hope that we get there someday.
So on this note, Kieran, we'll end this session. Thank you so much for taking the questions and also, consoling both the mothers, and also saying that you're open for, any consultation. So if they have any questions as well, so that's very kind of you.
Anytime.
Yeah. And
No,
thank
not
you,
at all.
Nidhi, and your daughter, for Manya, for coming and speaking to us. And Kieran, see, the reason why I keep bringing Nidhi, I know she hates to speak about this because it reminds her of the terrible, happening.
Yeah.
But I keep getting her back into my show. It's only to say that, see, let us put the memory, of what is happening. Let it be in the constant memory of the public, so that, at least everybody knows that we are watching, and I'm not saying I'm not paid media. Nobody pays me a rupee. I do it all on my own. So I'm not the biased media. I stand for these people because I know of the kind of pain they are going through, Kiran. So the very
Because
reason that
every day we are asking one thing: what is justice? What is justice?
Yeah.
So Kiran, so that's the only reason, as you said, people forget about cases very fast, So the only reason we bring it back to public memory is that hoping, and we also are running now a campaign.
And it's important,
where
Meenaji. It's important to keep the conscience of society alive.
Yeah.
Is important. We cannot become so insulated to these things and insensitive over time that
So what we have done,
it's
Kiran,
not worth
in the case of SSR,
being that way.
Disha,
So
yeah.
look, I
So,
think in
Kiran,
their pain we also
yeah.
hopefully
we have
can
done, Kiran,
see a role for ourselves
yeah. So what we have done,
of
Kiran, is
what's
that
going on and how we can hope.
yeah, in the case of SSR, Disha, Janvi, and Jia, we have all the viewers have written letters addressed to the the Supreme Court judge as well as the Prime Minister, which we will be forwarding to them, and let us hope to see that at least some their conscience is woken and something happens, Kiran, because I mean this cannot go on. Our society cannot be like this, where everybody is corrupt and they can do anything that they want. This cannot happen anymore. We need justice, and we need clean people. So that's it, Nidhi. Thank you so much for joining me. My love to your daughter and your husband. Just 1 minute, I'll just add in. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kiran.
sorry.
So
Sorry,
so,
there was some.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. See, we need to have the hope that the system will clean up, and these letters are being sent to both the Supreme Court judge as well as the Prime Minister. So there are a lot of letters that are coming, and we are asking for these cases to be fast tracked, and we need some sort of what do you say, a closure.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kiran, for joining us.
Thank you, Meenaji. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Nidhi ji, God bless you. God bless your family, and stay strong.
Thank you so much, Nidhi.
Do I have a choice?
And
Do I have a choice? Do I have a
Justice
choice?
delayed.
Do I have a choice?
Take care. Take care.
yeah, good night.
Good
Thank you.
night. Good night.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Nidhi.